Hey guys, so today I'm just going to be doing a quick review on the Beholder DS1, which I purchased from OwlDolly. It's a 3-axis gimbal. I purchased it at the time for $699.98 or something like that. Basically 700 bucks. So I purchased this from OwlDolly and it came in a really nice carrying case. And it's just a really nice case. It came with the gimbal, it came with a battery. They also gave me an extra set of batteries. It was like a special apparently that comes with all of their orders. I don't know if that's like a limited time thing, but at the time that I purchased it, it was part of the package. It has like the Beholder logo and all that stuff on it. So I purchased this for my RX100 Mark III, and you can tell that this camera is actually way too light for this setup. And the more proper version to actually get is the Beholder MS1. But the reason why I chose this one was because it has a different mode on it, which is, they call it the headlock mode. But what I like to call it is the horizon lock mode. And basically what that does is it allows it to lock the horizon, which I'll show you guys in a bit. And the MS1 only had 2 modes, which was either lock mode or follow mode. So the reason why I wanted this one was because it had that extra mode. But this one is a little bit bigger and it has that extra mode, and that's why I chose it. But I think if you are getting the RX100 or like a smaller camera and that's what you're planning on putting on here, I definitely recommend that you do get the MS1, because that's the model that was designed for cameras like this. I'm not really going to show too much test footage, because if you want to see test footage, there's already a bunch of videos on YouTube that you can watch that shows examples. Maybe I will include some test footage, I don't know yet. So this is how I have it set up on my camera. It looks like it's not balanced, but it's because the camera's not on yet. But as you can see, when the camera's on, it's balanced pretty well on here. The roll is pretty well balanced. It holds its position. What doesn't balance properly on a camera setup like this is the yaw. Because like no matter how I arrange this, no matter how I set up the yaw on here, no matter how I adjust it, I should say, it's never gonna have the proper balance just because this camera is just too light for it. Nevertheless, it still works with this setup. I had to add a couple different plates on here. This was I have the quick release plate out here at the bottom, and they also included this base plate here for like smaller cameras. And then I also included this part that I made myself, which adds a little bit of extra weight to it, and I feel it's easier to balance with it. So this is the setup I have. Let me just turn it on for you guys. So usually to turn it on, you just try to make it as straight as possible, and then you turn it on. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to do when you get this camera is go download the program. It's called Simple BGC or BCG or something like that, and that lets you edit the PID settings. But one of the main things you're going to want to do right away when you get this thing is turn off the sound, because the annoying part with this camera is when you get it, it has the sound on, and then every time you push this button, it makes this beeping noise.
For what? Does it record this noise as well?
Yeah, I have to turn off the noise, but
what do I do? What?
Which is really annoying, especially if you're recording video. That beeping is going to get into your audio, which you definitely don't want. So I turned that off, which is why every time I push the button, it doesn't make the noise. At first I did want to return this stabilizer just because I found it like really big, like I said, and I found like a really hard time getting it balanced with my RX100. But after playing with it for a couple days, I decided to keep it, even though there's like a couple issues that I have with it. I also changed the PID settings. You could change it so that way it turns on to any mode that you want. I made it so that when I power this on, it's automatically on that horizon lock mode. So you can see that no matter how I turn this thing, the horizon's always going to be locked in the same position. And that's because I have it in the horizon mode. I also put a setting on it where if I push this button, it's going to switch it to follow mode. So follow mode basically means if I tilt it down, it's going to follow it down. If I tilt up, it's going to follow it up. And that's really the difference between the follow mode and the heads up lock mode, or the horizon mode, like I like to call it. The last mode that you can use is if I hold this button down for 2 seconds. This will be different on your camera, but I set it up like this on my camera. If you hold this down for 2 seconds, it will be on the lock mode. And that just means that no matter how you position this, it's always going to be locked. And the reason why that's different from the horizon lock mode is because when you have the horizon lock mode, which I'm going to turn on right now, if I go left and right, it's also going to pan with the camera. I don't know if you guys can see that, but see, if I go left and right, it pans with the camera. Where if you're using the lock mode, if I go left and right, it's not going to pan with the camera. It's just going to stay facing the same position. So those are the 3 modes that you can use on this camera. So you have follow mode, you have the horizon lock mode, and you have the lock mode, which just locks the position that you're at. Things that I like about this camera, I like that it stabilizes really well, or sorry, not about this camera, about this gimbal. I like that it stabilizes really well. I like that it supports a variety of different cameras that you can use. I like that it's pretty heavy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not extremely heavy. So that's one of the things I like about it. I also like that it has a 3/8 screw mount at the bottom. At first I didn't like that because most of the things I have use a 1/4" screw, but then I realized that there are tripods and monopods that use a 3/8, and if they put the 1/4" on here, you would never be able to mount those 3/8 mounts without putting some kind of weird adapter. But it makes more sense to put the 3/8, and then you can put in a adapter for the 1/4", which I have right here. And I feel that was actually a better decision. What else? When I got this camera, the battery holder on this camera has like you can actually charge your batteries with the battery holder on here. There's like a little USB. And then when I read in the manual, it says that you can plug in the battery holder and you will see an LED light indicating it's charging. On my battery holder, I think it was defective. When I plug it in, the LED doesn't turn on at all. It doesn't turn green or red. And I contacted OwlDolly and they told me that something about like my USB isn't supplying enough amps, but I highly doubt that's the case because as we all know, LEDs don't really use up that much energy, and just because you're plugging it into something that doesn't have enough amps, it's not going to be like it doesn't have enough energy to power on the battery holder. Now it's not really that big of an issue for me just because I'm getting an external charger anyways, but if you are planning on just using the battery holder and you get a defective unit like mine, if it doesn't have that LED light, you don't really know if it's fully charged because it doesn't have the red or the green. So that's just one of the issues I ran into. Besides that, everything else was fine. One of the other things I don't like about this gimbal is sometimes like if you have it off and you're walking around with it, you kind of have it like this. And the annoying part about having it like this is there's no lock for it, which is kind of annoying because you kind of have to hold it like this or else it's just like flopping around all over the place when you're like walking with it and it's not on. So you kind of have to hold it like this. I wish in like the next version that they make for this, they add some kind of lock. So that way it's not just like moving around while I'm not using it. Besides that, it's not really too many issues. I just wish it would lock when I'm like carrying it around in different places. I also don't like, this camera, like I said, this gimbal is not really designed for the small cameras. So that was another thing I didn't really like too much about it, but I found a workaround and I'm kind of happy with the current setup I have now, even though it doesn't feel exactly right for it. And the last issue that I had with it was in the carrying case. I do like the carrying case they gave, by the way. It's a really nice case. It's like a hard case and they have like the cushioning at the bottom and the top. But what I don't like about this case is when I can't fit the camera and the gimbal in this case at the same time. And the reason why I have an issue with that is because that means every time I want to use this gimbal, I'm going to have to attach the camera onto the gimbal first before being able to use it, rather than just being able to take it out of the case and having it be able to be used right away. Besides that, I don't know, I was thinking about getting a different case for this gimbal so that way I can have the camera mounted on it already, and then that way I don't have to keep taking off the camera and then putting it back on whenever I want to use it. But besides that, it's a really good gimbal. Just in terms of like the stabilizing, like there are those drawbacks that I didn't like, but then when I watched my footage after, when I was looking at the footage I took with it, I was really happy with the results. And that's really what matters the most, is the results that it gives me. And even though it has like a couple shortcomings, I feel like it is worth it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. if you like this gimbal or not, or if you're planning on getting it, or if you have any questions, I could try to answer them as best as I can for you. And yeah, I hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. It was kind of not really any planning that went into it, really. Just me talking out of my ass. But yeah, rate, subscribe, and let me know what you think.